Hi, welcome. Feels quite a long time ago now since I did this. Sydney to London, starting there, up across the outback, Darwin, Timor, Indonesia, to Malaysia, to Thailand, then up to Bangkok, over to Kathmandu, India, Pakistan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Russia, Ukraine. It's almost 2 years ago since I arrived here. It's been a long 2 years. I've been writing a book and buggering about, and I suppose trying to make sense of it all, really. As I suppose I've blogged in the past, and it's taken a bit of time, but things have started to come together. So I thought I would equip myself again. I've organised. God, this is terrible. See, I'm so nervous. I've not done this for 2 years. But basically, yeah, it's been a long 2 years, and it's taken me a while to get back up and running. But getting interested in the concept of riding, or even getting Dot out and about again. For 2 years, she's almost stood stationary in this shed. This is a shed in which I wrote the book. You can see most of it's written on the walls. First sign of madness, apparently. Dot's been in here. She's not moved. She's not been anywhere. She's not been registered. She's not been insured. A few weeks ago, I took her to the Horizons Unlimited event. And I think that was my spurt that I needed to get her sorted and get her fixed up. So I started about the process of getting her registered. And well, what do you know? A few weeks later, she's registered again. So I'll leave that like that. So there's a shed. So I'm just at home. I mean, I've been working in between on a few bike magazines and getting some money wherever I can. And there she is, little Dorothy. Yep, long time no see. Let me show you around her. So she's had to have a new number plate. Basically, that's because obviously I had to import her and register as a UK bike. So she's now got a new number plate, Q430UAG. They didn't believe me when I told her she was a 2004, and they wouldn't take my documentation as evidence, so I had to put her on a Q plate. She's got her English tax disc down here. She's got a new back sprocket. She's got what else did I need to do? I had to change the wing mirrors to pass a single vehicle approval, which I only had to change the wing mirrors for the test, and now I've put back the originals. I had to put this little rubbing strip across the front because they deemed that too sharp. In the headlight, I had to put a side light that was on all the time, and that pretty much was it. I just had to put a plate under here saying how many sprockets front and back. But yeah, mechanically I've not touched her. I've given an oil change, and me and my dad sorted out the electrics and changed the back tyre, and for the MOT I had to she was looked at, she was looked at, the back wheel was straightened and a few things like that, but mechanically not had anything done to it yet, which is quite amazing that she still starts. You ready? Big day, really. I've been riding around for last week, and yeah, it's been a nice feeling, let me tell you that. Oh, there's bird shit on me. I think that's bird shit. Neutral lights failed. Just point out, it says miles per hour there, so that's another modification I had to do for the single vehicle approval. I had to put a mile per hour sticker and make no other modifications to the speedo because they don't check its accuracy, only that it says mile per hour. So that was sufficient. Alright, you ready? Dorothy? 2 years pretty much since we arrived. September 26th it was, 2009. Not a thing done to you. Change of oil. Look at that. She's not been warm this morning or anything. Hi, that's me anyway. A bit more lines around the eyes. It's been a long few years. You ready? Right. We're going to have a ride to Scarborough. And I need to explain... Well, there we go. First gear. Fast as ever. I need to explain that it's a big day as well, because I've only just got my helmet camera back on the road. I've been wondering where it got to since I got back, and I've not been able to find it. And then yesterday, my mum says, oh yeah, I've seen it in a bag. And it went bag in a wardrobe. So we found that. I got it out. And I can't remember if I said, but way back in India, I lost it. I lost the lens, the head of it coming over the Himalayas. And so I didn't have a helmet camera from India onwards. So I rang up a company that deals with spares, and they said, yeah, we've got one, we can send you one. So I got a new, I only ordered it yesterday. It came this morning, Saturday morning. So I've just fitted it, so that's why I'm nervous, because it's 2 years since I wore an helmet camera and had to talk nonsense. So yeah, so it's a big day all round, really. A real big day. If you want to Can you see the speedo? We're not doing 70. We're not doing 72 miles an hour. We're not even really doing 72 kilometers an hour. Because I don't know what's wrong with it, but it seems to be overreading. I think we're probably realistically we're doing maybe 50 kilometers an hour. You know, feels alright, doesn't it? Hey, can you see my new helmet? I got a new helmet. I don't think you can see it. Right up. See, new helmet. It's open face again, of course. And it's got targets on the side. I don't know what, I just thought it kind of suited the image of Dorothy. Having targets to be shot at. A bit like being in India again, being shot at by all them bastards in the lorries and trucks who used to hunt us down and make me swear violently. Oh, I miss that. I miss that quite a lot, actually. Oh, it's just not been the same, I've got to be honest. I keep telling people, don't do these big trips, don't do these big trips. They ruin you. It leaves you in a funny position afterwards, and sometimes I doubt it's worth it. But then I think back to India and Pakistan and China and them nights, just, yeah, doing this, cruising along at this speed, middle of the night, no one else around, sleeping in edge bottoms, and I think, oh, I miss that, really do. I really miss it. Dorothy missed it as well, clearly. I just can't believe she's running as well as she is. I mean, I've literally done nothing to her. She took a while to get going again. I think it was just bad petrol and a few other, yeah, a bit bad petrol and carb needed cleaning. But other than that, I've done nothing to her. In fact, can you hear me all right? I've lost me centre. There we go. I've got microphone in my mouth now. There's a garage, a bike shop not far from us on an industrial estate. He kind of fixes everything by the looks of things. He, you know, a real old school mechanic. And I've been down for a few things to see if he got a spare speedo and wing mirrors. And we got chatting, and I told him about bike. And I thought, well, now it's back on road, I'll take it down and show him. Oh, and he were giddy at it. He were giddy. He couldn't believe it. He were mesmerised by Dorothy. Truly in awe. And his old man took her for a run. Oh, these are a good set of corners. Dorothy's not lost it, you know, in terms of nimbleness. She's really not. Whee! Yeah! Got new tyres on. Harder than ever. On to the right, Dorothy, on to the right. Yeah! Whoa, got a bit wide, Oh, get an engine. Get an engine. Oh no. So his old man took her for a run just around the industrial estate yesterday, and he came back and he said, well, she is a bit tired, I'll admit it, but he says she runs like a dream. He says he reminds him of an old Norton. It's just that sense of solidarity about her. And I explained how that was because of the extra tank and the bars, and it just kind of, it makes it more substantial. And anyway, I mean, he said, because my question to him was, do I ought to do a full rebuild? And he said, no, I think you'll just get away with new valves. And maybe a rebore, but not necessarily. He said compression's fine. He said gearbox is fine. I mean, he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that this bike had come all that way and needed nothing. People, look at her. Still got the cons on. Still got the cons. Yeah, 85 mile an hour. My tent rack's a bit bent. When I had him in for MOT, that's like the safety inspection, he fitted new headlight bulbs. And they're like the brightest bulbs in the world. You can just see them like reflecting off the tent rack. And seriously, they're the best bulbs ever. It's so bright. I took her out in the dark the other night, and she lit up like a lighthouse. Because it's very dark around here, as you can see. I live in a very secluded, isolated place. There's nothing much for miles around, apart from obviously lots and lots of traffic. I'm going to check my camera, make sure it's still recording. Yeah, I think we're still recording, which is probably a curse rather than a blessing. Still got microphone there. See what it is, I live in North Yorkshire, and it's not far from the coast at all. So where I'm heading to is a place called Scarborough, which is about 20-25 minute ride for me. Okay, maybe a 30-minute ride on Dorothy, but and the significance this weekend is that it's there's some racing on the Oliver's Mount, which is a race circuit, a road racing circuit up around Scarborough. I don't think I'll head up to that actual part of it because you have to pay to get in, and to be honest I'm skint, so I don't think we'll go around that part, but it's right on the seafront, so you can ride along the seafront, and it's just really pretty. And with it being, I mean, believe it or not, but this is middle of English summer. Yeah, exactly. And it's been like this for a week, so it is middle of English summer, which means there are lots of kids over there and families, and so I'll be quite busy. And it's just actually quite a nice place to go for a ride. You can park up on the water's edge, or on the harbour, and you can, you know, buy a coffee, and there's a cafe there that's really popular with bikers. So I've been there a few times. I basically got dot registered on Monday. It was such a relief, and it was such a long process, really. It started out, I needed to get the MOT, which is the basic safety standard for British vehicles, and to get that, like I said, I had to have the back wheel straight and new headlight bulbs and things like that. But she passed that, that was fine. And then I had to book her in for what's called a single vehicle approval. Because she's a bike outside of the EU and a bike less than 10 years old, she has to be safety inspected. And it's, though to say safety is probably wrong, it's more like to make sure that she's legislatively accurate. And that means having the right details on the chassis, having the right type of wing mirrors, having the right tyres on. So I had to change the tyres, I had to change the wing mirrors, basic stuff like that, really. So that was a long process to get her booked in. She failed first time because of the tyres and the wing mirror and something else. Whee! Come on, Dorothy! Yeah! Woo! We left him for dead! Smoked him! And then once I got those inspections done, it was a case of getting insurance based on the chassis number, because she didn't have a UK registration plate at that time, so I had to insure it on the chassis number. And then I had to get something else, I can't remember what, and then go down to the office, the agency who deal with these sort of things, with all my paperwork, and said I'd like to register this Australian bike. And they said, fine, yeah, it looks like you've got everything you need apart from the original registration document. And I said, well, I've got my carnet here, I've got other documentation that proves it's a 2004, because that's basically what they're after, proof of year, proof of first registration. But they said, no, we can't do it, you don't have the right documentation. They said I was going to have to ring Honda in Australia and get them to send it through, blah 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 blah. Fine, so I went home to try and find the paperwork that I thought I might have. No, couldn't find it. So I went back with a registration plate that's bolted onto Dorothy, hoping that might be enough. And sadly that still wasn't enough. And by this point I was just, you know, it's just bureaucracy, it's just bullshit. And so I said, well, can we not put it on a Q plate? And a Q plate is what vehicles with no evidence of their first year of manufacture get put on. And so she's on a Q plate. But I kind of like Q plate because it could stand for anything. It could stand for quirky, or queen, or queer, or I don't know. It could stand for so many things. And it kind of fits in with what Dorothy's about. If she'd been aged as a 2004 UK bike, people would have gone, that's never a 2004 bike, that looks like a fucking old shitter. But because she's on a Q plate, well, people will go, what is that? What is it? And I've already had that when I've been out last few days, yeah, you always get people coming up to you and saying, "What's that?" And you'll say, "Well, it's a on the post bike." And they'll say, "Where'd you get it?" And I say, "Australia." And then, "Oh, was it expensive to ship it here?" And I kind of have to say, yeah, like, no, but it was expensive to ride it here. And so obviously you get chatting, and people are really interested. People are really curious. And it's been good for me, I'll be honest, because for the last almost 2 years, Dorothy's been shut away in that shed. And I guess I feel in some ways that so have I. Not physically, of course, but just that sense of being, I don't know, not knowing how to escape that shed. It was a mental shed for me, not a physical shed. But it's been a weird old time trying to make sense of it, the trip, the relationship, why I did the trip, and then of course the book. The book was so draining, and it still is. There's been a lot of problems. The publisher only published in Australia and didn't see any reason why anybody would buy it outside of Australia. So they've been telling me now they don't think they're going to bring it to England or to America or to Europe. They don't see a faith in it. So, I mean, as you can imagine, having gone through the trip and the writing of the book, that was kind of disheartening. And so I kind of just pushed and said, I think it will sell, or at least I'd like to try. And so I'd like my international rights back, please, because that was my mistake. I gave them my international rights unwittingly, naively, and I wish I'd not done that. And they ummed and ahed, and they said, "Oh, maybe, you know, in 2 years time we'll give it you back." And I said, "I'm sorry, but you've shown no faith that it'll sell overseas. What is the point of you keeping it?" And basically they made an offer saying, if you send us a letter saying you want your international rights back, then we'll grant them you. So with that offer of the email, and straight away I put a letter in writing and put a recorded delivery, and that was kind of it. I said to them, "I'm sorry, but you made an offer and I've accepted it in the form that you asked me to." And so I mean, let's not make this ugly, but to me that's, you've kind of entered into an agreement, and I don't think you can back out of it now. And so head of HarperCollins Australia just came on and said, "Well, you know what, it sounds like it's all been quite a bit of a faff, and let's leave it at that. You can have your international rights back." So the book's available in Australia, and it's now a case of me doing what I want with it over here. Has been a publisher interested, and they're reviewing it at the minute. Whether it's going to go ahead, I don't know. I'll find out next week. But you know, after the experience of dealing with a big publisher and handing over the ownership of such a personal project, I kind of think, you know what, I'd like to retain my rights. I don't want a marketeer or a salesperson deciding on, you know, what's best for my book and my story, which is the case really. It's publishing, but it's business. And so I've been exploring the options of self-publishing, and quite honestly, it doesn't seem that difficult. It seems fucking hell. That was an Audi RS4 for £25,000. I didn't think that too bad. And so yeah, I'm looking into self-publishing, doing an ebook and obviously a paper-based version, simply because it's that easy now with Amazon and Lulu. You can do what's called print on demand, so a book only gets printed as and when it's ordered. So there's no huge investment in stock. There's no and they deal with distribution as well, so you don't even have to post it out yourself, which is a godsend. Fuck it, I tell you, I'm all over him. If I just had a few more horsepower, this guy and his Ninja, yeah,